All right, I have audio confirmed. I am streaming and I don't have everything set up. It's the November 9th, 2023, 9:04 and counting a.m. That's morning. Turn off that overhead light. And yikes, you know what? I think where am I going to start with? Yeah, let's go into chat. I'll pop out chat. I've got emails from Martin Hogg, and I see that he's in chat. So I kind of want to go see what he's updating there in chat before I go to his emails. John Williams, good morning. Everything's good with you? Yes, thank you. Martin Hogg gives us a weather report in Scotland. Hello, Robert, John, Alice, John again, Brian Lightfoot. I'm thinking of a career change where I estimate crowd sizes at different outdoor events. I wonder how many people are in that field. There's Alice to John. People saying hellos to each other. Martin says, I have a question on a laptop running MX Linux. I want to do a clean install of Windows 10, but am unable to boot to the installation USB bootable drive, even though USB set as first boot in BIOS. I've had issues with that based upon the USB drive that I'm working with and what, if it's a, is it even a, what is it? There's one format that won't work on older computers. So maybe this is an older computer since it's using Linux. There's something with the different formats that a USB drive can be prepared in, and is the computer a MBR, a legacy computer, or does it understand GPT? And do you have the right, did you use the right media creation tool for the age of the laptop that you're using? I did not say that very well at all. Somebody maybe can clear that up for me. Selden Ball with the weather report. Oystein, hello. Martin Hogg, I have to extract the SSD and format it. If I have to extract the SSD and format it, I will, but just wondered if there's another solution. Yeah, I'm suspecting that there is another solution. Now, another possibility is if, let's see, unable to boot the USB. So you're not saying that in some cases you could boot the USB, but when you go to try to select a drive that you want to install to, you can't see the drive because you need a driver in order to be able to see that drive. But you're not reporting that's the problem. You're saying you can't even boot on that thumb drive. And it's not a problem with not being able to see the drive that you want to install on. If I have to extract the SSD and format it, I will, but just wondered if there's another solution. Yeah, I don't think extracting the SSD is going to solve it. I think if you're not able to boot from that USB bootable, even though the USB is set as first boot in BIOS, so that said the laptop is capable of booting from a USB thumb drive. If you go back far enough in history, they weren't, but that's a long times back. Oh, that's from Doug saying he was working with a client. Pesky clients, right? Selden Martin, exactly what are the symptoms when you try to boot the USB thumb drive? Good point. Maybe are you not able to select it? Is the computer, do you have a light on the thumb drive indicating it's trying to boot to it and failing? Or is it like the computer's not even saying hello to the thumb drive? Maybe even put it in a different port. Try that thumb drive on another computer and verify that it is functional. Did you just create that bootable thumb drive? So maybe it's not a proven thumb drive yet. If it did work a few weeks ago on another computer, that doesn't necessarily mean it's still good. Try it on another computer, see if you can boot. Doesn't matter that you don't need to install it on the other computer, just will it boot another computer. Black screen with error message saying BCD files missing. Now, okay, Martin, that goes back to the boot configuration data files on that Lenovo that you were working on, and that's the emails that I've got. The emails that you sent me recently did not confirm that you had gone through the steps that I recommended, because you have the boot configuration data files on the original eMMC drive, and you clone that to an NVMe drive that's in the same computer. You got two conflicting EFI partitions with conflicting BCD files, and that's not going to work. So if you've got that going on again on this computer where you have a clone involved, is it the same computer that you're dealing with here? And maybe you still have that original eSSD drive soldered in, and you have that M.2 drive with a conflicting EFI partition. John Williams and Martin, I've run into that problem before. I had to remove the 2.5-inch SSD and start clean install of Windows 10. Hi, folks, won't be here long from Rick. Thanks. So looks like Grub has messed up the boot partition. Grub, that's some kind of third party. I'm not Grub. That's a Linux. That's part of the Linux system. Messed up the boot partition. The boot partition on your SSD for Linux is irrelevant. You should still be able to boot to a thumb drive. Hello, Bobby Warren. It's John Williams. Seldom be having breakfast from Lawn Dog. Ran Israel. Hello. Try different thumb drive. Disable secure boot. Yes, disable secure boot. Some brands just don't work with Windows installation for some reason. They're not very bootable. I don't understand, but I've run into that. Grub has nothing to do with the partitions on the USB drive. I'd look elsewhere. I agree with that. And if you really get stuck, create a DVD. Well, does he have a DVD drive on that computer? I guess he might have an external. Also, if the machine has USB 2.0 port, use that rather than a 3.0 port. That's good. Speedy, hello. John Williams, is it 32 or 64-bit? Hello, Zvi Manor. Oystein, and Grub is the bootloader for Linux. Okay, now I'm going to go over to, now, Martin, I don't know if this is the same computer. I'm going to go back to Martin's emails. In regards to, he was talking to us over a period of days about a Lenovo laptop, and he'd given us pictures of it, and he had a integrated or soldered on eSSD drive. I think I'm saying that right. And he cloned that to an NVMe M.2 and installed it in the computer, and it wouldn't boot. Well, you've got conflicting EFI system partitions there. It's not intended that you clone a drive and then put it in the computer and have both those drives, the original and the clone, in the same drive. And the email that you sent me here implies that you did not understand or hear the responses that I've already given on this. So let's go look at this. He says, hi, Doug. I can provide more info on my decision to stick with Windows 11. Now, that's right. He also, the client originally requested installing Windows 10. And he tells a little bit about this here. So I'll just read his email. The customer asked me to remove all links to Bing in search engines and browsers, and also wanted to revert to Windows 10 as he dislikes Windows 11. Now, I don't think it's possible to remove all instances where Bing will come up. What I do with my clients, I typically set them up with a default launching page, both on Edge and in Chrome, to google.com. And then you got your search field right there. Any searches you're doing in that google.com field, you're going to get Google results. But if you type something in down here in the search in the Windows search field, it's going to come up with Bing. And there's other places where it's going to come up with being. Windows 11, I think, is more insistent on that than Windows 10, but I don't think you're going to eliminate all of that, even with Windows 10. Not certain on that point. I could do a clean install of Windows 10. Now, this paragraph implies that you partially heard one of the things that I was advising you to do or suggesting that you do, but didn't completely grasp it. I could do a clean install of Windows 10. However, I can see a large amount of highly sensitive customer data and programs, including Microsoft Office 2019. So although I've taken a complete backup to another external drive, if I were to do a clean install of Windows 10, the MS 2019 and other programs would possibly not transfer properly. This makes me slightly nervous. I intend to discuss the matter with the customer. This paragraph implies that you misunderstood what I was suggesting. What I was suggesting is do a fresh install of Windows 10 on the NVMe only to prove the drive will function with the original SSD still present. Okay? Then the next step would be to restore only the partition from that backed up image that you have from the eMMC. I thought I was saying that wrong. Didn't feel right. Just restore the C drive, not the entire drive, which would include the EFI system partition. You don't want that on the M.2 drive. Just restore the customer's original C drive. That way you have all of his programs, you have all of his data, and then use msconfig to tell the computer to boot on the M.2 drive's partition. So I'm hoping that that's going to get through better than maybe I didn't say it very well, or maybe you missed that day. I don't know. So yeah, I don't think you should try to move them over to anything other than what he's currently using. Prior to that discussion with the customer, I will copy some sample files to test and see if other programs such as LibreOffice can open. No, don't do that. Get him his MS Office 2019 by restoring his C drive to the M.2. Finally, regarding your question about the M.2 NVMe drive, the existing eMMC drive, see there, I knew I was saying it wrong, was cloned to the NVMe M.2 drive using an external enclosure. Then it was installed, but not recognized in BIOS or msconfig, despite the secure boot being disabled and the boot order being changed. Yeah, secure boot and boot order had nothing to do with it. The problem is that the M.2 drive had the EFI partition. And this is it right here. This little 260 megabyte partition is what we're talking about. EFI system partition. This contains the BCD, the boot configuration data. And this is what tells the computer what Windows partition you want to boot from. So you can have the original eMMC can remain as the home of the EFI system partition. Since that's soldered in there, there's no need to try to get that onto the M.2 drive in a correct fashion. That can remain as the controller for which partition to boot to. So then once you get the M.2 drive in place, do a fresh Windows 10 install in it just to prove that it will function and coexist with the eMMC drive. And then restore his C partition from that image backup to the M.2, and then use msconfig to identify which the boot partition should be. Now, I remember last time I talked on this topic that Gary Weisenberger came up with maybe even a cleaner, more straightforward way to do it. And I don't remember what that was. Maybe it's what I just described. I'm not sure. I guess maybe it was clean the M.2 drive from when you're booted on here, clean the M.2. No, it's going to have to be on another computer because you can't have that M.2 with that EFI partition. So you have to take it to another computer, wipe it clean. You could use that other computer to restore the C partition to this drive. I think what he was suggesting was going to skip doing a fresh install of Windows 10 on the M.2, which I think you could do, but my preference is to do the incremental, where you go clean that M.2 using another computer, then install it back in so it has no content on it whatsoever, and then boot to your eMMC C drive. Use the media creation tool to install a fresh installation of Windows 10 on that second drive, and to be able to prove that they will coexist with each other, then restore the C drive to that M.2 partition. Use msconfig to identify which partition you want to be the default operating system. This is previous email from me. I strongly suspect the soldered eMMC drive is locked down to be the first boot by default in BIOS. I don't think that's true. And to show why I don't think that's true, let's come back to your other email. Here's an email that you gave me here with saying some larger photos may help. So we got the photo of the label, which we've looked at before. But then here, this was interesting. I don't know if you've shown me this before. And if so, I probably didn't pay attention. Boot mode UEFI, which tells us this computer could be switched to legacy mode. We don't want to do that. USB boot is enabled. PXE boot to LAN, you could disable this because you're not trying to boot from a network operating system. But then here's this is the order that it's seeing your bootable devices. And it's the NVMe is first. The eMMC is way down here in 5th place. So the NVMe is the first thing it looks at. The USB, a USB hard drive is the next thing it'll look at. Windows Boot Manager ATA hard drive. Yeah, so I don't see that the eMMC SanDisk is at all your first drive. It's just that EFI partition is configured to boot from the eMMC drive. So when you clone that to the NVMe drive, that EFI partition was still saying boot to the C drive on the eMMC card, but because you had two EFI partitions that are both screaming at BIOS saying, I'm in charge, look at me first, and then look at this list. And you're not supposed to have a cloned image of an EFI partition on another drive in the same computer. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. This larger picture of this section, I can't make out a socket here for connecting an M.2 drive here. I just don't see it. But he has connected it, and here's that M.2 location over here. Here's where you screw it down, and somehow this is the M.2 socket on this side. I just don't see it. I'd like to see a photo with it in place, with it installed. That's that old email again, so I'm not going to go there. Now, coming back and see what we got. Let's see. We do have some recent comments by Gary here. Do I have something highlighted? Yeah, so I will go inline. In Israel, Oystein, Grub can load Windows 2 and other OSes. Okay, I'm not very well acquainted with it. Yeah, eMMC, that's when I was using the wrong acronym. Touch wood, no alarms. I'm not sure what that is. Anyone else here using, Alice asking, anyone else here still using Windows 10? Oh yeah, sure, there's a lot of people still using it. Zvi Menor is, Ran Israel is. Yes, I have a computer running Windows 10 from Oystein, Heil, and Wisdom Doug from Sin Vicious. Alice, great. I was thinking I was the only one. You're fine staying with Windows 10 as long as you choose to. I am on Windows 10 365 Special Edition. Windows 10 365 Special. Oh, Ken's down. Oh, jeez. La La Land, Looney Tunes, Make Believe. Alice is asking, what is 365 Special Edition? Brian Lightfoot, we always knew that you were special. Ken to Alice, works all year round. Oh, he's saying because his works 365 days a year. That's why he calls it a 365 special edition. That's totally made up. Fantasyland. Gary Weisenberger to Martin Hogg. If C drive is bootable and works continue, image C, then clone C to M.2, then clean C, then... Okay, let me try to absorb that. If C drive is bootable, the eMMC C drive, he doesn't have a bootable from the M.2 yet. So C drive, from which C drive? Image the C drive, yeah, then clone C to M.2. Now this is not clone, this is image, creating an image backup of the C drive. Now saying clone C to M.2, that problem with the vocabulary there, because he's using macro and reflect. I think the same is true in Acronis. If you select clone, that's going to take the entire physical drive and make a clone of it. I don't think either of those programs use the word clone for an individual partition. Do they? I don't know. I haven't tried that, but maybe they do. But only the C drive. Do not include the EFI partition. Then clean C. I think he's meaning the C from the eMMC. I don't see that you need to do that. They can both exist in the same computer as long as there's only one EFI partition. Although if you clean the C, then you don't have to mess with msconfig. It'll automatically boot on the M.2. That would be a reason to do that. Then install the M.2. So I guess in this clone, he's saying do it in an external connection through USB. Install the M.2. Have you tried booting from power off and tapping the F12 key? I'm assuming this means with the entire cloned M.2 that includes the duplicate EFI partition, and tapping the F12 key to try to tell it to boot from the M.2 C drive. Lawn Dog, yeah, Gary Weisenberger, that's another good option to try F12 and selecting the device to boot to. Well, Oystein got a laugh out of something there. And it is, Zvi says no missile alarms today. I was suspecting that might have been what he was referring to up here. Let's see, I'm not showing that yet because I'm behind. I don't have all the chat messages here. Yeah, no missile alarms. So that's what he was referring to back up here with no alarms, touch wood. I guess touch wood is some kind of good luck. Knock on wood is a good luck thing that I know of, but touch wood, I wasn't familiar with that. Ken, totally not made up. That cost me nearly 35 photocopied bills. See, Ken has this unique capability that he can look you dead straight in the eye and say, this is honest truth. I'm not making this up. And he's telling you a flat out lie. That's his talent. He calls it a talent. Totally not made up. That cost me 35 photocopied bills. Oops. Disappeared in front of my eyes, whatever Gary had there. No missile alarms. Okay. I do have a redirect set up to Carrie Holtzman's show today. And is there anything else I need to talk about? Oh, I think there's something in channel comments from Dennis. At 3252, I think he's referring to that chime that happened when I launched Crystal Disk Info and I reacted to that. What was that? And I think he's telling me what that was. Crystal Disk Info detected a change for one of your drives, probably for the SSD where C drive is located, and that is an NVMe drive. Health status went from 99% to 98%. Is the most likely cause of the alert. You can turn the alert sound off in the function tab. Alert features unrelated Has anyone experienced a change of how Microsoft To Do works? They recently updated the app and now it is missing something I used to use. One of the items under search went missing. Is anybody else wondering where this mysterious item is? Don't waste too much time for this one unless there's multiple people having an issue. All right, so I'm not going to go try to bring up Microsoft To Do. I don't even think I have it. So the reason why I was saying I wouldn't bring it up because I don't think I have it. Isn't it an app? Oh, it is an app. It is something I have. I don't use it at all. Sign in with an account. It's saying something on search is missing. Microsoft To Do works. They recently updated. Now it's missing something. One of the items under search went missing. Here's search. Yeah, so one of the items under search. One of these things? Yeah. Okay. I've shown what that looks like, and I'll stop there because he told me don't waste too much time on it. And, oh, crystal disk info. I'm going to go see what was, he said I went down to 98% health or something like that. Got to go check on that. Crystal disk info 9.1, 64-bit. Is there a chime? Where is it? There. 98%. So he's saying that I went from 99% to 98%. That's my C drive. This over here is a spinning drive. So what I understand is he's saying that it went from 99% to 98%. Critical warning, 0. Composite temperature, available spare threshold, percentage used is 2. Well, that's a hexadecimal 2. It doesn't mean 2%. Read and written, host read commands, host write commands, controller busy, power cycles, power on, unsafe shutdowns. Hexadecimal wise, that's a kind of a big number. Number of error log information entries. Now, this could be because of the unsafe shutdowns. Would you like to pin Microsoft To Do to your taskbar? No way, thanks. I click the no way, thanks button. All right, I think I'm ready to shut down. SSD time is running out. Health status. Health status good, 98%. SSD time running out. Host reads power on count. NVMe Express. So it's gone down by 2% for its life expectancy. So I guess that's expected, right? All right. So if I get that chime again, I'll pay attention to see if it's at 97%. Maybe that chime comes in every time. And he said there's a way to, oh, that was over here. Function alert features. Turn sound off in the function tab, alert features. Function tab, alert features, alert sound. There it is. Okay, I'm going to leave it on. Yeah, clock is ticking. All right, there's the email address if you want to send a question that I can respond to. Myself in the chat room are eager, ready, just chomping at the bit, wanting questions to come to us that we can provide answers or ideas or things you can try and just have an interesting conversation. All right, have a great day, everybody. Catch you later. Goodbye.